Alright, this is going to be my discussion response to the questions for week 3 about Metropolis. First, I am going to just basically reword what I got out of the essay we had to read. Okay, so Darko Suvin, in his essay on the poetics of the science fiction genre, is essentially arguing that the genre of science fiction can be defined as the literature of cognitive estrangement. The word estrangement here means that something recognizable is made to seem unfamiliar so that it can be viewed in a different light, and cognition is basically synonymous with perception or understanding. The genre of science fiction requires the interaction of these two concepts, combining creativity with cognition to attempt to understand something from an external perspective, and thus relies on an imaginative framework alternative to the author's empirical environment, or an alternative view to reality. He also elaborates on the differences between science fiction and similar genres, such as non-fictional utopianism, naturalistic literature, and other non-naturalistic fiction. With the latter, science fiction shares an opposition to naturalistic or empiricist literary genres. It is, however, different or distinct from these fictional genres due to its approach and social function. Suvin states that science fiction is the only meta-empirical genre which is not metaphysical. This distinction is pointed out in order to strengthen his argument that the genre combines scientific knowledge with social imagination and critical thought. Okay. For the second part of the question, alright, I would decide to go with explaining why Metropolis is science fiction. So first, in establishing my own definition of science fiction, I would like to draw from something Suvin implied, that is that science fiction involves the understanding of something from an estranged perspective. Science fiction consists of fictional stories and plot lines that are based in realistic scientific concepts. So the genre utilizes these concepts to twist our reality into one which is different enough that we can perceive it from an external perspective, or simply to explore the potential future our reality is heading in. Often some aspect of this altered reality is exaggerated just enough to draw our attention to it. Being separated from the subject, we are then able to analyze it and to form a higher understanding of whatever aspects are being analyzed. So, alright. So Metropolis can be considered science fiction for a number of reasons. Firstly, it deals with robots. Actually, I think it introduces them. And artificial intelligence is a subcategory of the genre because humans often worry about the advancement of technology to the point where the machines they've created become independent and superior, or even sentient, and the potential of what that could mean for the human race. This threat of machinery taking over their lives is sort of shown by the humans' complete dependence on it in the potential future. As the man named Garrot points out, without them you'll all die. Robot Maria makes a comment about the workers being living food for the machines. So overdependence on machines is a concern there. Also, Robot Maria turns men against each other, typical robot thing to do. So that all kind of ties into science fiction. Okay. Also, the movie Metropolis is set in the future, so it becomes the creator's idea of what the current state of mankind would look like with the progression of time, focusing on societal issues. The movie shows his attempts to capture his perception of the future with an abundance of machines all in constant motion, spinning and blinking and so on. The future city of Metropolis represents the extreme social tension during the time it was created, with Fritz Lang imagining what could become of society if the oppression continues. The division of the social classes becomes exaggerated in order to show it more clearly. Factory workers live underground while the elite live in towers. Alright, however, synchronized movements of workers make the style more of a performance. It's unrealistic and not really falling into the realm of the science fiction genre at all points. Also, when the robot Maria is dancing, it becomes very symbolic and interpretive. Frieder hallucinates near the beginning and sees factory workers being sacrificed to the machines at the hands of the upper class. Definitely, at times, the film is much more symbolic rather than realistic, and therefore is not purely science fiction, although it contains a handful of science fiction elements. Alright, the end.